righty. So first, I don't know your name, but on the Zoom it says Kizzy Robinson. Um, is that your name? What's your name?
My name is London.
London. How old are you?
6.
6. Okay, so I'm gonna make this intimate since it's me and you right now. So I might pause in between and ask you some questions. Okay, London? Cool. All right, so we're gonna get into the book. All right.
I can have some more your lip gloss.
No, right now.
London, can you mute for me? Thank you. And you can unmute when I ask you some questions as we read. Okay, so I chose to read Little Leaders Bold in Women History by Vashti Harrison because I think this book emulates people that have overcome many obstacles. So I'm going to read this little part here before we get into some of these women's stories. It says, to all of the women whose stories are in this book, thank you for being leaders. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for being bold. We are grateful and we are inspired. So as I'm reading this, London and all those that are watching, I want you to think about yourself when I tell these women's stories. Find parts of yourself in them and how you can be inspired as well. So we're going to go ahead and get into the first woman's story. So we are going to be reading about Phillis Wheatley. She was a poet. So Phyllis's literacy skills were apparent early on. She published her first story when she was only 14 years old. For anyone, that would be a major feat, but Phyllis was also a slave. So it was truly unique. Her original name, date of birth, and exact birthplace are all unknown. When she was only 8 years old, she was taken from her home in Africa and sold to a trader, then transported across the Atlantic to Boston, Massachusetts, aboard a ship named the Phyllis. She was then resold to a man named John Wheatley, who purchased her to be a personal servant to his wife. The Wheatleys soon recognized her intelligence and began to nurture it. They taught Phyllis everything from theology to mythology and education that was rare for a woman and nearly unheard of for a woman of color. So I'm going to stop for a second. London, how old did you say you are again? Did you say 6? 6? So this young lady was 14 years old and she published her first story. So whatever it is that you want to do, just know that you can do it because this young woman was a slave and had a lot of obstacles in her way. So just make sure you know that you can accomplish anything, okay? All right, and I'm gonna continue reading. Oh, we're gonna get the book back up. But while we wait, London, so do you know what it is that you want to do when you grow up? Yeah? Can you unmute really quick for me and tell me? I love to know. Uh-oh. It's okay. I'll come back to you. I'm going to finish reading. Oh, there we go.
I want to go to space.
Go to space. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Because I love learning about the planets. What's your favorite planet? Do you like the moon? No? What's your favorite planet? Huh?
Hot one.
The sun?
No.
That's Jupiter.
The big planet.
A lot of them are big.
Sun.
Saturn?
Yes.
The one with the rings around it?
No. The one that's beside it.
I don't even know which one is beside it. Um, but you want to go to space. And that's something that's rare, but that's something you can definitely do and it's possible. And so I want you to know that when I'm reading these stories, these women overcame obstacles, and you can do whatever it is that you want to accomplish, even go to space. So I'm going to get back into Phyllis's story. So where were we? With the family's backing, she traveled to England to publish her first book, poems on various subjects, religious and moral. She was the first African-American woman poet to ever be published. She corresponded with George Washington and the famous French writer, philosopher Voltaire, who called her a master of English verse. Her work was so powerful that abolitionists used it as an example of the intelligence and promise of Black people. And in 1767, she was emancipated. Unfortunately, she did struggle financially and lived in poverty for the rest of her life. So sad. She received a great deal of praise during her lifetime, though, but validation from the white society was integral to her success, and it never came. She continued writing, but was not able to find a publisher in America. Her natural talent and body of work live on as fundamental contributions to American literature. So even though she may not have gotten as far as she'd like, but she has definitely left behind a legacy, because she is in this book and we're learning about her. So you may come into situations where you may not get exactly where you want to be, but you still make an impact. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next story. It's going to be Mary Eliza May Honey, and she was a nurse. Mary grew up before the American Civil War as a free woman in Massachusetts. Though as a Black woman, her career options were limited. Mary knew that she wanted to be a nurse. And when she was 8 years old, she started working, 18 years old, not 8. When she was 18 years old, she started working at the New England Hospital for Women and Children, but she wasn't saving lives yet. She had to work as a cook and as a scrubber. So she had to work her way up, and it does take a lot of hard work to get to where you want to be in life. And although Massachusetts was a leading state in the anti-slavery movement, discrimination and segregation were still a way of life. The hospital, however, prided itself on the fact that it treated both Black and white patients. It also had a nursing program that admitted one Black student and one Jewish student per year. They considered this quite progressive. Mary worked on the hospital staff for 15 years before being admitted into the nursing program in 1878. And at the age of 13, and at the age of 33, I don't know why I'm getting all of these ages mixed up. At the age of 33, before being admitted into the nursing program, at the age of 33, that year, 42 students were accepted, but only 4 graduated. Mary was one of them. So Mary had to work hard. It took her years to get to this position. And then she was one of only the one Black student that was able to make it into this program. So just know that when there are slim chances of you accomplishing something, you definitely can. For me, I'm a journalist, a reporter, and I'm Black and I have natural hair. There's not a lot of space for us on the TV. So you have to believe in yourself and know that there is a place for you, and you don't have to compromise who you are to get into those positions. And as I continue on, as a private nurse, Mary had an incredible reputation as being patient and skillful. She traveled around the East Coast, and her work helped challenge racism in the South. She was soon inducted into the American Nurses Association in 1908. She helped support the funding of the National Association of Colored Graduate Nurses, which later named a major award in her honor. Mary's nursing career lasted 43 years. She was recognized as a pioneer, and in 1976 was inducted into the ANA Nurses Hall of Fame. Her old hospital, the New England Hospital for Women and Children, named the Denmark Center in 2007, and it features a new healthcare facility named after her. I see we've got some other people on. It looks like I got my cousins on here, so y'all can unmute. Do you know how to unmute?
Pen.
Okay, so I made everybody say what it is that they want to be when they grow up. So you both have to do it as well, okay? First, say your names.
I'm Denim. And I'm
Yes.
Dream.
Okay, so Denim, what do you want to be when you grow up?
A pediatrician.
Oh, okay, okay. Making sure people are healthy. I like that. Dream,
Police officer.
police officer. Okay, okay. So similar to what your Aunt Siri, well, Aunt Siri does, my mom does, but you'll be out on the streets. Okay. Both great occupations. So we're talking about a bunch of women who accomplish their goals. So you can definitely be a pediatrician, Denim, and Dream, you can be an officer. That's the whole point of reading this, to let you know that you can accomplish your goals, okay? So we got one more person we're gonna read about, and then we're just gonna chit chat and then wrap it up, okay? All right, so we are lastly gonna talk about Ida B. Wells. She was a journalist like me, and she was an activist. So Ida B was a natural born activist. Whenever she saw injustice, she stood up against it. She was born a slave in Mississippi, but emancipation came to the South when she was still a child, and that meant she had the opportunity to get an education. After college, she worked as a teacher, but lost her job for criticizing the poor conditions of the Black segregated schools. In 1884, 71 years after, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, 71 years after Rosa Parks refused to get up from her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, Ida refused to leave her seat in the woman's car on a train in Memphis, Tennessee. So she did this before Rosa Parks. We all know about Rosa Parks, but it looks like Ida B started this. She was on the train and letting people know, hey, I'm not getting up. And she had purchased a first-class ticket, but was asked to leave and join the African-American car. Ida did not go quietly. She filed a lawsuit against the railroad and eventually won her case. There was no rule that said Black women could not ride in the women's car. However, segregation legislation was soon implemented in Tennessee, and Ida received no further justice in the matter. 3 years later, her case was overturned. She took her frustration and wrote an article in the newspaper under the name Lola, and later became known as Lola, Princess of the Press. So she took something that was an unpleasant experience and turned that into something she can make a difference in. So when we go through situations where we're frustrated, we're upset, we're mad, find an outlet that can make a difference that's positive. So maybe journaling, writing down something, drawing something. When your mom makes you mad, or something in school happens that you're upset about, find a creative outlet, drawing, because that can be inspirational for other people. She took this and actually became well known. It says journalism became her outlet. She was the owner and editor of the Memphis Free Press and Headlights, and later the Free Press. She took a major stance against lynching and faced death threats for her words. In 1898, she led a huge anti-lynching campaign all the way to the White House. Ida knew the power of words and knowledge and continued to use her voice to stand up for what was right. So, of these three stories, all of these women had different trials and tribulations that they had to overcome at young ages. You saw that the 14-year-old Phyllis was able to write a book or write a story at 14 years old. And some of these other women had to overcome segregation, slavery, and so many other things to get to where they wanted to be. So with, I believe, London, I know you said you want to go to space, Dream and Denim, pediatrician, and police officer, just know that when you go through things, you'll still be able to accomplish your dreams. Let me, oh, there we go. Is there anything you all want to ask me? I didn't mention in the beginning that I work at WFMY News 2 in Greensboro, so I am on the news and on TV. So if you have any questions for me, you can ask them. No?
How do it feel to be on TV?
honestly, in the moment that I'm doing it, I kind of like zone out. So sometimes I do get nervous. Sometimes I forget my words and I just keep going. But a lot of the times I'm pretty calm and I just kind of forget about the world and I just look at the camera and just zone in on what I'm doing. So yeah. Well, I thank you all. Oh, do you have?
Hi.
My bad.
What do you love most about your job?
I like the fact that I get to do different things every day. I get to tell stories with this organization, this nonprofit, Create Me, and how for young ladies like you all, I get to tell those serious stories, Dream, where people are going and, you know, having experiences where police are involved. So I get to talk to police. I get to talk to doctors and pediatricians. So I get to learn a lot. So yeah.
Last time in my school we did a project
Mhm.
about famous people. Mine was Ruby Bridges.
Ruby Bridges. Tell us about Ruby Bridges.
She was the first Black person to go in a white school.
Okay. Yes. So there's a lot of women out here that are pioneers, and you all can be pioneers too, even at your young ages. Don't let your age stop you. You saw 14 years old, she wrote her own story. So whatever it is that you have that you want to accomplish, know you can do it. Okay. All right. Well, I am done reading, and it was great chatting with you all. Thank you for taking time out to hop on the Zoom, hop on this live, hop on YouTube, whatever platform you're on. And I hope you all have a great holiday.